Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this month's episode of Uncensored and In Charge with Erin Childs. I appreciate all of you who are tuning in to join me today, and we are going to be focused on sales. I did a post on it just this morning saying that I was going to be focused on this, and my thought on sales is that without them, we don't have a business. So we're going to be highlighting them this week, and I want everybody to really take in what we're going to talk about today because I think that there's a lot of good stuff in here and everybody has different approaches to sales. So this is mine. Take it for what it's worth. And I hope that you do find successful information from it. As a former catering sales executive, I know firsthand how hard and intense scaling a catering business can be. I've done it. First question I want you to ask yourself and your team is, are we looking at our catering sales in the correct light? Now, I said we all have different approaches. This is an approach that I think has proven to be very positive. As we head into this holiday season and we're trying to book our sales, I know that we all want to close out our 2025 very strong, okay? But I want you to consider switching or pivoting to this type of an approach, if not to carry out the rest of this season, but to start your new year with a different mindset, okay? It is safe to say when I try to help companies with their leadership teams, I am trying to help them scale a strong catering program that's going to possibly and hopefully offer you a little bit of a different lens to look through. For anyone that knows me well in the catering world, you've heard me talk about understanding your client's needs and building a trusting relationship with them. I think I can confidently say it's the only approach I took when building relationships that I had in my catering days in Boston. If you are successful at doing this, you will have success in catering sales. And I really wholeheartedly believe that. Okay. But the key is that you have to commit to doing it day in and day out. And that is the most important thing that I want you to take away from this. I'm going to talk through this, assuming everything that I'm about to say. Okay. And this is important, that you have a very strong operation and one that can handle and help you navigate through challenges that you might come across. Challenges and issues are going to arise. We know that they will arise. And I'm trusting that your operations team would be able to execute what your sales team is selling. Okay? So note that because that's an important piece of what I want to make sure that you guys clearly understand. Now, we're going to start by asking the question, do you have catering sales strategies that will help your catering business grow and build client confidence that boosts your profitability? Okay, profitability. So here are some catering sales strategies that will help your business win, in my opinion. We need to have a shift in our mindset, okay? I really believe this. And what do I mean by this? So when speaking to a couple of people about sales in general and what their overall opinion is the old mindset of many people is that if they're in catering sales, okay, or special event sales, so that's specifically what I'm talking about. This could be scaled on any industry though. Your old mentality or mindset is probably you're going to sell food, you're going to respond to leads that you might get, and you're going to make sure that your menu is priced competitively. Sounds pretty fair, right? A winning mindset, in my opinion, should be that you are going to solve problems that your client might be facing. You're going to anticipate their needs. And by doing these things, you're going to build their trust, which is extremely important. Kind of everything to me. Your job isn't to sell sandwich trays or appetizers. And I want you to really, really dial in on this for me. It's to sell the mindset of well-executed and beautiful events. no matter the size of the gathering that's organized. It could be a lunch for 10 people that a boss is hosting that you're responsible for planning. It might be the CEOs of all of the top 10 companies in the country. Okay. It might be a nonprofit organization with important board members that are there. It doesn't matter who it's for, but you have to make sure that your job is making it stress less for your client so they can be an active participant, have a good time if it's a party that they're at. They might need to focus on the meeting, making sure everything else that they have to worry about is going to be executed appropriately. But the one thing that they don't want to worry about is the food and making sure that you have taken care of all of the details. It's your job to make sure that you're selling, that you're going to make sure that everything you do gives them a foot up. What I mean by that is you want to make sure that they always, always, always believe that what you are going to deliver is the best, that's accurate, and you're going to make sure that your clients look like superstars to their bosses and their organizations. So, one important question for you to ask yourself is, am I making my clients look like superstars every time that you take care of them? And if you're not, perhaps it's a great day to start. So, we're going to talk about a variety of different sales ideas for your client. Because I think that sometimes you might have different clients with different approaches. Okay, so how about leading with a consultative selling point of view? Okay, and what I mean by this is that you are the guide, okay, of what they're going to order. You're not the order taker. That's an important piece for a salesperson to understand. Ask your clients certain questions like, what's most important to you about this event that they're needing to plan and that you're helping them with, okay? I want you to listen to and for any emotion that they're going to start talking to you about, right? So, for example, I would suggest you say, let's design something that fits your budget, okay? Because that's important, and keeps you as stress-free as possible on the day of the event. Okay. Now, chances are you're going to say that and the client's going to go, yes, please. Yes, I don't want to be stressed. I want you to take care of everything. I don't want to worry about any of this, right? Sometimes it might be better for you to sit with your client. Okay. And what I mean by that is, I just want to make sure I don't have a question coming in here. Okay. I'm going to go back one second. So sometimes you might have to sit with your client. Okay. And in doing this, I want you to review menus with them. I want you to review event photos, how an event might look. I feel like this is extremely valuable when you're planning, say, a larger event or an extremely important board meeting that you are doing the food for. Having a visual for your client to clearly understand what you're going to be presenting to them, what your boss is going to be experiencing, is extremely valuable to your client. Okay? Now, I digress a little bit. A client needs to understand when they are calling your company to have them do the food, who they're working with. And that doesn't just mean, for example, I'll just say myself, Erin, but it also means who's the brand, right? So understanding exactly what you're going to be putting together for the event and the brand that's with this wonderful display of food and service. We want to make sure that we're clearly setting our clients' expectations of what we are going to deliver and that they're very happy to be working with the brand because they trust you and you've built this wonderful event menu and experience for them that they know either they or their bosses who they're planning these things for are going to enjoy. Now, I want to dive a little bit into brands, okay? Promoting your brand in the sales side of things is another strategy that you can take um, towards building your business. Okay. So, some strong selling pieces for you to market to your clients are questions that you can present to them about your brand. Okay. What does your brand stand for? Right. So you can be marketing this to them when you're trying to convince them that you're the caterer that they should be working with. Okay. Who do you serve best? Another great question. Why do you win clients repeatedly? Another great question. And here's what I mean. If you confidently communicate to your client that we help busy office teams have great events that are really effortlessly executed, and we have full service catering corporate needs that you might need for your next office holiday party, it is your job and your focus to make their events as stress-free as possible. And that is what you want to sell because you are so confident about it, then that is what you should be selling. Okay? You want to make sure that they understand what your brand is about. And if that is a confidence that your sales team can have because it is the truth and it is what you guys do, then I think it's an extremely valuable sales tactic for your teams to market your brand. Okay. Now, having said all of that, your commitment to your client is always I promise you we're going to do this. We are going to act professionally and all of these wonderful things, right? And what does that look like? So anybody who reaches out to your company about catering sales should make sure that somebody is responding to every single inquiry in a very timely manner. Now, there are many different salespeople who will tell you that you should respond within 30 minutes or 1 hour. Great. Some companies will create boilerplate questionnaire responses so that they can get them out to their client to answer, have that sent back so that the salesperson can start building some back end information on them. Again, great. But one of the things that I think is extremely valuable that everybody should clearly understand is that whenever you are sending anything regarding a proposal out the door, that it should be very clear, very organized, articulated well. It should be branded with your company logo on every single page. It should have accurate details on it so that your customer client is looking at their event dates and details. Now, as the salesperson sending out this proposal, you should make sure that you are double checking it if it is a boilerplate and you're not creating each one from scratch, hopefully. But you should make sure that your client's information is accurately displayed on this document, because I have personally, and I know some of you have, made mistakes and sent perhaps wrong dates or wrong information out on a proposal that you're trying to win from a big client. Guess what? That doesn't look good, right? Most importantly, after you've sent all of this documentation to your clients, you should make sure that you are following up. Okay? Because if you just send out all these proposals and you don't check back and you wait for them to call, guess what? They're not going to. Most deals will close after multiple contacts. Okay. And this isn't you being pushy. I want to be really clear about that. It is about having very good back and forth communication and understanding the client's needs so that you can put together a nice proposal that you can send off to them. Okay. You want to be focused on this. This will be a positive experience if you nail this. Okay. Some statistics for you that I had read, which I thought was staggering, is that 70% of clients will choose the first caterer who replies to them. Think about that. Think about that. I actually kind of laughed because I thought of all of the customers that I have dealt with over the years as a catering salesperson, and if I didn't get back to somebody quickly enough, that they probably had gone somewhere else, which seems crazy that they respond and they most of the time want to get this information, plan the event, and get it off their desk. And that makes sense to me. Okay. You want to be the one that grabs the client's attention first. And you want to make sure that your team, okay, that's really kind of who I'm speaking to, you leaders communicate this to your team. You want to make sure that you have set them up for success and that they are able to execute what you want them to. Okay. Now, data I've found more recently than not is something that customers, I'm going to say, I believe that you have data in your four walls that can help focus your team's energy a little bit differently. Okay. And why is this important? Well, I think that what people should do if they're questioning catering sales or they're trying to figure out the best ways to build them is they should take a look at their conversion rates and their by which lead source. So, my point to that is who is building the sales and is that salesperson having a return on their sales rates, right? Their conversion rates. Average size orders, I think, should be something that people start looking at as well. And repeat booking rates. So, how often are your clients ordering? And are you really looking at these three data points? Because I think that it's actually way more valuable than you realize. I think using this information, you could refine some marketing if you don't see what you're looking at as your ROI on some of this stuff. I think that you should have incentive team performance reviews. I think that you should make sure that you're doing stuff weekly. I think that you should identify the most profitable client segments to your business. And I even have a deeper thought on this, and I think that you should create a dashboard that shows leads, what's been booked, what's repeated business. That alone, it seems so simple, but do you really have these things visible with your sales team? Are you taking enough time out of your day? No. To make sure that these three things are being followed up on weekly. Okay. Make it weekly so that you don't feel it's such a commitment. Today, I had an interesting conversation with somebody, and I'm adding this into my presentation today because it clicked something for me. Have you a sleepy client list? We used to call it back in the day. A list of clients who haven't ordered, however, they're existing clients for you that haven't ordered in a while. Does your sales team understand who is on this list and what this list means? This alone can allow for your sales to grow. Does your sales team make the appropriate amount of sales calls a day? Something to check in on, leaders. When was the last time you checked on that? Here's another one. Are there times that are better served for sales calls? If you're asking me, my answer is 100% yes. Don't call somebody when they're just getting to the office at 8 in the morning. or 9 in the morning, pending office hours. Don't call someone at 4:55 when they're trying to get out the door because they're running behind schedule to pick up a kid, or if they're a guardian, or to go meet a group of people, or go to an event themselves. Think about good windows of time that your sales team can be pounding the sales channels that best serve them. Okay. I think that it's worth you checking in on it. Also, back to my sleepy client list, these are repeat customers, chances are. You want to build repeat and referral business. The real money is in retention of your existing catering clients or gaining new ones. Keeping your catering clients happy and coming back counts big time. Do you have loyalty perks for frequent booking clients? What does that mean? Well, let me make this simple. Do you offer them a free lunch? Seems so silly, seems so sure if they want a free lunch. But sometimes people really appreciate that they don't need to worry about their lunch that day because X brand is delivering and you know you're going to have lunch on them today. This builds a loyalty. Send thank you notes, handwritten, even with their free lunch. Apply a discount off X amount of events, earns them a discount. If you don't want a discount, I understand some brands don't want to. Fine. Add a complimentary cheese board or veggie platter to their next event. Do something. That's the point. Do something to go the extra mile that shows you care. This gesture of generosity, as I call it, goes so far. And making these small investments from the sales standpoint will build you a stronger relationship. And honestly, please make sure every client that you deal with, that you work with, feels known by you as a salesperson. Don't make them feel like they're just a number. Take time to get to know who you are working with and make notes relentlessly on these special people. They have lives. They have stories and details to them that they may share with you because you have built trust and you have stayed committed to making sure that you are always giving them the best quality of food and the best type of event. Do you see where I'm going here? These details are so important. And I really, really think that more salespeople should start to focus on them. Now, another good sales piece that is debatable is your own digital space. And what do I mean by this? So people might have incredible sales teams. They've got a good, solid brand, right? But your digital footprint of your brand isn't necessarily keeping up the way that it should. So I want to make sure that your sales team and your business is keeping your Google business profile as fresh as possible with up-to-date photos, special menu items, reviews. They should be done minimum monthly, you guys, if anything. It doesn't take that long. You should make sure if you don't have a marketing department, some people do, usually bigger companies have marketing departments and they're all over this. But many of you aren't the big companies, right? Many of you are the smaller brands that don't necessarily have the resources like the big guys do. So I just want to make sure that you're thinking of all of these little things, which is why I bring them to topic. If you don't have reviews on some of your menu items or your corporate catering channels or your special events, go ask your customers, would you be willing to give us a review so that we can post it in our Google profile or in our social media? Because believe me, I bet you they will, right? Post catering in action shot on your social media channels. Tag your vendors. I know I've talked about this in the past. Sometimes vendors, actually your partners, okay, will also promote it on their social media. And it goes farther and farther outside of the circle, right? You should do target ads around seasonal specials. It's October. There's lots going on. Fall menus are rolling. We've got pumpkin spice everything, right? Target ads around it. Make sure people know what you're offering. Make sure that your breakfast spreads are pumpkin based. Everyone gets all excited about these things. Deliver your apple ciders. Making sure you have before and after photos of a styled catering table. Give your clients kind of a wow factor. Post about it. Brag about it. Have your delivery teams snag pictures and send them so that it can get posted. These things make larger impacts for your brand, for your sales than you realize. And as a leader, you should want to equip your team to sell all the time in little pieces like this, looking at all the different aspects of the business. Okay? Everyone you work with represents your brand. I remember learning about this long ago. Train all of your team members to spot and pass along opportunities that might really help you. So, here's an example for that, okay? You might be out with a group of friends. You might be at a friend's house for a Sunday lunch or a Friday brunch, Saturday brunch, whatever, okay? You might be out. They're talking about their work, and the office manager or the assistant of whatever needs to plan a gathering for the holidays. And what does this mean? Well, this is super important because it allows for you to say, wait a second, I work for a company that does corporate catering. You should call Erin. Here's her number. Tell her I sent you. You can cater our event. Because now here I am outside pushing these sales through my friend group, through my network. But of course, everybody in our circle, we want to promote and help each other, right? So look within your own network. Have your sales team look within their own network of people that they might know, because some of our best connections can come out of our inner circles. And sometimes, believe it or not, salespeople and leaders don't actually think first to look there. Okay? Make sure that your sales teams have simple scripts for upselling or cross-selling to anyone who's working your phones and delivering your food, especially delivering your food. Teach them, train them. It's another champion of your brand helping you sell an amazing product outside of your actual sales force. And really, really, really important, build smooth handoffs from your CSR, okay? Brands call them different things, but your catering service representative, your person that's answering the phones, or the people who are selling for you. Build a smooth handoff from the CSR to your kitchen, to your delivery, and followed back up by your CSR at the end of the day to ensure that it all went well. And what am I doing? I'm talking about creating a rhythm for your brand, a rhythm for your sales team, so that it just feels smooth. If you sell the experience that the client is going to have and not the menu, by using the vivid visuals and emotional languages that I was talking about before, that are going to set a positive tone for what you and your teams should and will be working towards for them, and you describe how the client will feel after everything goes so right, and you add your social proof of your photos and your reviews and your video testimonials, check us out on social media type of stuff so that they get a stronger understanding of not just what you were telling them, but that you're repeatedly doing it. Your clients aren't going to remember the menus that you put together for them, people. I hate to break it to you. Okay? They're going to remember the moments that you helped them make this event go off without a hitch, made it seamless for them because you showed them the confidence that you have with yourself and your team in executing it at this level. Make sure you time your sales appropriately, okay? Target holidays and graduations and corporate milestones. Our years, you guys, flow like this. Now we're entering the holiday season, right? Sales, if you live in the Northeast, can get really tricky come the colder months up here. Okay? Sorry, I have some in my eye. So make sure that you're timing your sales in an appropriate way from the sales standpoint. Fill in your slow months with creative campaigns, lunch and learn series, random national day stuff. Every day, I think, of the year has a random national day. So if you're needing moments to gather some sales momentum, these are good ideas. Themed calendars, catering needs, all of that. I say to the clients, plan out 3 months. Say to your sales team, 3-month plan. What's our 3-month plan? Let's see, it's October. We're halfway through it. October, November, December. What are we focused on these 3 months? My hope to God is that we're trying to get our holiday menus out into everybody's offices and making sure that we're calling all of our clients to make sure that they know that we've got pumpkin spice bread for the breakfast. These things seem little, you guys, but they're not. And then after all is said and done, what should you do? You should follow up like a pro. Some people believe in different types of touch systems. You've heard that terminology before if you're in sales. Okay. So, how quickly should you respond to say thank you so much? I am a person that if I did an event and it didn't end at 10 o'clock at night and it was that day, I follow up personally that day. I do. As a sales leader, I do. Okay. Sometimes it's just a drop-off order. So our CSR might call back or send an email and say, we just wanted to make sure everything went well. My advice, that first touch should be immediately. Okay. Now, to add more value here, within 2 to 3 days, 3 to 5, however you want to space it, you should be in touch with that customer again. Hey, do you have anything coming up? Okay, you said that you're doing your next event in November. I'll reach out closer to that date. You mark it in your calendar. You reach out, say, hey, I just wanted to see if you wanted me to help you plan your menu. Okay? All of these little things will go farther, but you have to stay committed to doing it. Make sure that your follow-ups with your customers are personal. Be genuine. Trust me, they mean a lot and will carry you very far with your clients. Your job is to build their trust. If they trust you, they will use you. You need to lead with empathy in everything that you do from a sales point. You need to be a fast responder. You need to stay at the top of their mind. And you need to make a client's job super, super easy. Remember that every catering sale that you do is earned through service before the event even happens. Your future sales continue on your successful execution. Your sales continue on your successful execution of your events and how much of your team is willing to invest their time in really creating relationships with their clients. So, one of the things that I do want you to consider is reflecting back on today's piece, is an action plan to ask your sales team. Okay. What strategies can you apply this week that maybe I've mentioned? Okay. What needs to change in your catering sales process to grow your catering sales? And how are you going to measure the improvement in your sales and your client experiences? Some people won't know where to start. So, if I had any recommendation whatsoever, it would be to turn at least to your sleepy client accounts and find out where they've been, find out why they've been gone, and start building there. Now, I'm going to pause for a second because I'm babbling and I want to see if there are any questions that I can maybe answer that I haven't touched on. Okay, so it's the first question is you mentioned the importance of responding quickly to inquiries. What are some realistic systems or tools that you recommend for small sales teams to consistently hit that 1 hour response goal? So, sometimes companies will have CSRs. I find that a CSR, so the person that we can define the CSR as anything, but companies have different roles for that person. But the person who is answering your catering phone and taking your catering orders, I call a CSR. So that person, the better trained they are, the more the less your response time has to be to clients because you might be able to forward as the salesperson, you might be able to forward the question to them, or you might have, as I mentioned, that boilerplate template that you can have filled out, send off to them for them to fill out themselves. You've already pre-asked the questions. You're thinking from their mindset. Remember that. Remember, we talked about that in the beginning too. And they can answer those questions, which will help you have a first bite on the information that they're giving you. Hopefully that answers that. Okay, the next question we have is when selling to offices or local businesses, how do you recommend balancing professionalism with personalization in follow ups, especially if they're not yet a regular client? So, I believe 100% in professionalism. I am all about professionalism. Professionalism can be displayed to new clients that aren't necessarily a regular client, right? So, in the details, right? You're thinking about questions that they might not be thinking about yet. That is very professional. The presentation of the information you're giving them, the details, the as I said, logos at the head of all of your paper, so that they know that this is from your company if they're trying to get multiple quotes from different brands. All of this represents a professionalism, and staying open in communication provides a professionalism that not all people have. Okay. Following through and keeping your word on what you're going to do. I will have this proposal to you at the end of the day. That builds accountability, and you keeping your word on that creates a really positive experience for the client and makes you look like you know what you're doing. Next question. We work with a wide range of customers from schools to office administrators. How can we tailor our brand message so it still feels consistent but speaks to each group's unique needs? Okay, so make sure you have testimonials or photographs or any type of marketing brand recognition on school events, and office events, right? Making sure that that information is shared through your brand, through your posts, through your social media, through your marketing is extremely valuable. Some smaller brands can participate in local school events. They could donate food to PTOs and all different types of sporting events. This is a huge value add. Sometimes local companies might sponsor sport teams. This is you being able to market your brand and show your customers that show companies that you have all different types of customers, and that just because they're a school doesn't mean that you can't work with them. Just because you do a lot of schools doesn't mean offices can't order from you. Hopefully that speaks and answers that question. Okay, next question is, what's your advice on how to gently steer price-sensitive clients away from a purely budget-driven conversation and into one focused on value and event success? Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do when you're planning your event is understand if there's a budget, right? If there is a budget, which usually there's always a budget, right? Everybody always has a budget. So if there's a budget, then I would put together a nice menu that is as beautiful as you can do for their budget. Okay? People that are price sensitive, it's because that is what they have to spend on the event. Your job is to make sure that it doesn't matter if they are spending $500 or $5,000. Your job is to give them the confidence that you are going to execute this event as special as it is for the person paying top dollar because they've got a bigger budget to what you're going to be able to afford. That builds trust. That builds respect. People have all different budgets. Your job as the caterer is to meet them. Be confident in that conversation that you have with them and let them know it's my job to make sure your event is as special as it is with vegetables and crackers than it is, lobster rolls and shrimp cocktail. They can be equally as nice and get the same type of attention that they deserve. That is what you're selling. Okay, next question coming in is, for clients who order only once or twice a year, what are your best tactics for keeping your brand top of mind between events? Okay, I have dealt with these. So if you know when they order, if they order in the holiday time or they always have like a big May gala event, then you need to mark it in your calendar what that time frame is, and you need to mark backwards any menus that are coming out. You also need to stay in touch with them, right? So for example, say they work at I don't know, say they work downtown Boston, okay? And you are doing an event near their building. Reach out. Hey, Erin, I'm going to be next door to your office. Any chance on this date you could do lunch? Make the effort to meet with that client a few times. Take them to lunch, bring them lunch, send them a cheese platter. Make an effort all year round. Call as the event approaches and say, we have our spring menu. Just so you know, here's the gala menu for the gala. If you're looking at it, I took, some of the data from last year and I made some adjustments of what I think didn't really get consumed last year to what you should have this year. Be proactive so that they don't need to work so hard. If you make it easy for them, they will want to stay with you. Now, sometimes you're not always going to win it, but don't forget that they will not lose touch if you're constantly connecting to them and making an effort. They will remember that. They trust you. You're building trust. Hopefully that answers. Okay, next question. It says, you talked about turning a good execution into a lifetime client. What are your top 3 post-event actions that really help lock in long-term loyalty? So, taking meticulous notes during an event, if you're at it, very valuable. Taking your client to lunch after you've done a very big event with them, if you're not at it, very valuable. What you want to do is personalize this for you as the salesperson and the person you are constantly going to be taking care of. Again, you want them to look like superstars. So, top 3 things that I do is I make very detailed notes, whether that was during the event and I'm at it, or during the planning process of what seemed hard and what wasn't. Okay. Those are 2. Those are 1. Okay. Taking them to lunch is 2, whether you're there or not, at the event or not at the event. Still put in the effort to take your client to lunch. And I don't necessarily mean it could be your food, it doesn't have to be your food. Sometimes make them feel fancy and take them to a nicer lunch if you can, or dinner, but lunch feels easy. Um, and follow up, stay in touch with them, talk to them, get to know something personal. If you knew they were going on this really cool Colorado trip for February break, call them after February break and say, how was your trip? Or somebody's brother had surgery. How is your brother doing? These types of little actions go so far. And I realize that they seem so personal, but that's the point. Sales in today's world is so competitive that showing the human element is what will ground you and set you apart from the rest. Hopefully that answers that question. I will probably take one more after this, and then just because time's running close. So, can you share an example of a small surprise and delight gesture that went a long way with a client and led to repeat or referral business? Yes, I can. I had a dear client who worked for a large company. I'll keep all names out of this just for simplicity pieces. And a lot of the time, she couldn't order from me because I wasn't a preferred vendor. Okay. Now, to become a preferred vendor in some of these larger organizations takes time. Okay. What does that mean? Well, sometimes you might have to get in the good graces of the person that randomly makes the call who the vendors are. Sometimes those people are the ones who might get the most perks. So therefore, they're going to work with the companies that give them the most perks for ordering from them. Sometimes there's such security clearance that needs to happen at some of these companies that the easier it is to onboard somebody through their security process, the better, the more successful you have. So the more success you have. So long story short, I was relentless about becoming a preferred vendor for this client. It took me over 6 months to get on this catering preferred vendor list, but I did it. I would drop cookies, call, say, can I deliver a platter of cookies for all of the admins? Can I provide lunch for the admins today? These little surprise and delights, you have to plan ahead. In most companies, in big cities, anywhere you are in the country, you can't just show up and be like, I have a food delivery, and not let an admin or somebody know that you're coming for security reasons, which is fine. But sometimes just going the extra mile, if they place that catering order and you make sure that chocolate covered strawberries are delivered to that admin's desk, those are the details I'm talking about. That you knew that you had that conversation, that she loved chocolate covered strawberries, and therefore you went out of your way to make sure that they were delivered. That is the type of surprise and delight level that we are talking about. Now, some people might have a little bit of a reaction here going, well, I can't just like deliver chocolate covered strawberries to a client. Yes, you can. This is about building relationships and trust and showing them that you want to provide these wonderful opportunities to work together and that your food is worthy of them. Okay. So, all of my long story in this is that my effort of consistency is what led to repeat business. And in that repeat business, I got to know this person. I got to know this person so well that she was so happy to watch my life continue when I started having children and I got married and blah, 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 all of life's great grand pieces that I've personally chosen to follow. So that is what surprise and delight gestures have the capability of doing. They create a relationship. And in that relationship, you get to know your client really well and they want the best for you. And you want to make sure that you're constantly taking care of them and getting to know them. That is where your repeat and referral business will come from. I'll take one more and then we'll go on. We often get last minute office orders. How do you recommend setting expectations clearly in those situations while showing up? We're eager to help. Okay, great question. So, and a great one to end on. So, here's the thing, we all in corporate catering specifically live in a last minute world. I am I 100% feel all of you who are doing it daily. When you are working with clients and you are getting to know them. And we talked about the brand earlier, right? Set the expectations, let them understand. We had a saying in one of my companies that I worked for a long time that we will do our best to accommodate last minute needs. We will do our best. If you can't get the food to your client in a timely manner, in the time that they need it, it's okay for you to say no. Building these relationships on the trust that I'm speaking about, when they trust that you can do it, you better be able to execute it. You've got to say, let me see what I can do. Do you have any flexibility on the delivery time? Okay, if I can get it to you before the delivery time, the food can be out for a little bit. Are you comfortable with that? And they're like, yes. How many times have any of you been the saving caterer to a forgotten catering order? How many times have any of you been on the opposite side of being the caterer that forgot the order or dropped the order? These things happen. So I would say always set your expectations with your clients from the beginning. We are good at executing last minute, or we can't do it today. We are short drivers. It is monsooning out. We're never going to be able to make that time. The client will be more respectful and understanding your no on that than you saying yes and under promising, right? So remember that your word is everything. It builds the trust for your clients. And that is what you're trying to do so that you can build stronger relationships so that they know when you're having to say no, it's not because you want to, it's because you actually can't execute what you're planning to. So I'm going to leave it there for questions and hopefully I've answered them enough. And I'm going to close it out with one final really important point that I want you all who are listening to really think about and take back to your teams. Winning in catering sales isn't about selling your food, believe it or not. And I've said that multiple times. It is solely about becoming a trusted partner who turns someone's vision into a reality. When you lead with empathy, respond with urgency, and deliver with consistency, you don't just win your sales, you win the relationship behind them. Most caterers that win are not the ones with the biggest menus. They are the ones that moved fast, followed through, and made every client feel like their only client. And if I do leave you with anything today, it is this: build trust, build their trust, solve their problems, and deliver the experience worth talking about. This is how you will turn a single event into a lifetime client. And that's how catering businesses win. If your sales team, day in and day out, consistently put in the effort to build these relationships by reaching out and connecting with your clients, then you will continue to grow your catering sales. That is all that I have today. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in, and I will see you next month on Uncensored and In Charge. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.